we can breathe easy. Oh, am I here? Okay. Hi, welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, powered by BetUS. It's your boy, Jonathan Macri. Just cracked myself open a nice celebratory beverage to celebrate what was a very nice Knicks win, a workman-like Knicks win, and I think a Knicks win that we should give a fair amount of respect to. I saw a couple comments that I was maybe a little bit too hard on them after the fall from ahead, come from behind, briefly behind, win a couple of nights ago against this same Brooklyn Net team. And like, if you win, like, you deserve to get praised, and I was probably a little hard on them. So I'm going to try to rectify that tonight, because it's not easy to beat any team in the league 2 games in a row. And when there is this little bit of a rivalry, and I think it's a rivalry at this point. It's definitely been a lopsided rivalry, first in favor of the Nets and now in favor of the Knicks. But it's a rivalry. Like, these two teams, I think, probably get up a little bit extra, and now you add the Bridges stuff to it. So to beat the same team twice in a row, one of which you didn't have, well, aside from all the guys the Knicks have already been missing, some really key pieces. And tonight you still didn't have Deuce. So, and for the first time all season, I think, unless I'm forgetting a game, Jalen Brunson was just like really, not that he wasn't a factor on offense. He was very much a factor on offense. And we'll talk about some of the nice things he did. Ended up with 10 assists. And I know he finished 3 of 14 from the field. I don't really feel like he forced a whole lot, but the Nets made it a point to take Jalen Brunson away. And I think there's a lot of things to talk about with this game, a lot of directions that we could go. But I think the first place you kind of have to go is that, I mean, imagine the odds you could have got on this. What odds could you have gotten on a game in which 4 Knicks starters scored at least 20 points, and one of those starters was not Jalen Brunson? Because that's what happens. You had Hart with 20, you had Towns with 26, you had OG Anunoby with 24, and you had Mikal Bridges with 21. And all of those guys, to different extents, I think had solid nights. Solid to better than solid nights. I think OG is the one who came closest to an exceptional game because he had an exceptional first half, tailed off a little bit after halftime. Give Cam Thomas credit. That guy's really good. He got OG a couple of times, but by and large, they held Cam Thomas in check tonight, in large part because they put OG Anunoby on Cam from the opening tip, essentially. So that was good. And yeah, all those guys did their job. I think as we could keep zooming in on this game for a little bit. Talk about the bench. I think a lot of people, after the effort that he gave on Friday, certainly expected to see Ariel Hukporti get some minutes tonight. Was not the case, and you knew it wasn't going to be the case if you listened or read the quotes from Tom Thibodeau's pregame presser, because as soon as I think it was Alan Hahn asked him about, hey, did Ariel Hukporti do enough to get minutes? Tibbs answered with, "Oh, Jericho Sims has been playing really good defense for us." So you knew that was the case. And like, look, I'm happy for Sims. I'm happy for Sims because I think he has been thrust into this role here where he's expected to give them quality rotation minutes. It's been up and down, and I'm happy for him tonight because I think tonight it was pretty good. You could even argue that he had one of the signature moments of the game. We'll get to the autograph signature moment a little bit later, but definitely one of the contenders is when he switched onto Dennis Schroeder late and held his own and ended up getting a block. And he had a bunch of other nice moments as well. So, good stuff from Jericho Sims. I know he's not the guy that a lot of people wanted to see out there. That's fine. I don't begrudge a single person who thinks that they should have already made the shift to Hukporti, but Sims is reminding you that he is, certainly not an incompetent NBA player, and he's still a young player, So good stuff from him off the bench. Cam Payne, again, I thought Cam Payne comes in, especially in the first half when it felt like this team needed a jolt, And I don't think it's an accident that the 20-4 run that really turned the game around. And the Nets made some pushes in the second half, obviously, got it down to 8 in the fourth quarter. People were a little nervous. But really, after that 20-4 Knicks run, the Nets never really seriously threatened again. I know they got it within 1 point after the first play of the third quarter, but it felt like the Knicks were in control. It felt like more than anything, it felt like the tenor of the game changed in that first half run, and I give a lot of credit to that campaign because he comes in, he brings the just supreme effort every time. And then a guy that I would expect that we're going to get some super chats about tonight is Pacome Dadier. Now, I know Pacome fell off a little bit in the second half, but what he showed you, especially on defense tonight, and there's a clip going around, the one that is going to get the most attention, which is his outstanding one-on-one defense. There were a couple other plays as well. James Edwards III pinpointed a really good closeout, or I didn't know. Sorry, it wasn't James Edwards. It was Fred Katz. I'm mistaking the guy who took Fred Katz's job for the actual Fred Katz. It was Fred Katz who pointed out on Twitter or Blue Sky, one of them. We're all over the place right now. That Dadier had a really nice closeout, and then the observation I had after the really nice one-on-one defensive play was I thought Dadier was really good on a rotation under the rim. He ended up fouling whichever the net was, but not in the shooting motion. And I thought he was there in good time. Like he looks like he could potentially step in and become a rotation player for this team. And at the very least, it seems like he has surpassed Matt Ryan. Now, I mentioned 3 guys off the bench, and that's because only 3 players played off the bench tonight. We did not see Tyler Kolek. We did not see Matt Ryan. And you had 3 Knicks starters top 40 minutes. OG with a not really. I mean, for him, like you don't want to see him above 40, but 40 is obviously pushing the limit. Like you shouldn't need to play at OG Anunoby on the first night of a back-to-back 40 minutes. You would hope that would not be the case. And yet you see his impact out there on. I mean, I feel like he needs to be the lead story of the game because it's not just his impact on defense anymore. He is making such a genuinely significant impact on the offense, and not just I'm going to hit my open threes and I'm going to attack the occasional closeout. He's doing everything short of like, just give me the ball and get out of my way. And honestly, there are a couple times where when he gets the right switch, it is kind of give me the ball and get out of my way. So, is he creating advantages? No, he's not. We can't yet say that OG Anunoby is an advantage creator, but boy, oh boy, is he taking advantage of every advantage that is created for him for this team. And like, again, we're through 13 games now. Team's over 500, so good job by them. He's been their best player. And yeah, getting back to the minutes thing, he played 40 minutes, so not ideal, but nothing compared to our friends Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges played the entire second half, finished with 45 and 46 minutes respectively. Now, you look at those minutes with a bit of a grain of salt because Josh Hart, I mean, we know what Josh Hart is an anomaly. And he could play 48 minutes a night if he had to. That's why he gets paid $20 million a year. That's his superpower. And Bridges is a guy who's, he's led the league in minutes before, and he's leading the league in minutes right now. So I'm not, too worried about him. And still, it's like you just look at the totals, 45 and 46 minutes in a game in November, the first night of a back-to-back. Now, that back-to-back is going to come against the Washington Wizards, which you hope these guys can maybe get a little bit of a rest before, and come away with a win, although there's no easy wins in the NBA anymore, before they head out on the West Coast road trip. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves. So the minutes, I wanted to make that point early on because anyone wants to be concerned about the minutes, I'll hear you. Totally. It's 3 guys, 40 minutes, November, first night of a back-to-back. It's not what you want. Talked about Anunoby. Awesome stuff from him. Such a pivotal part to this team. And then I'd like to I'll give Fred Katz another shout out. Sent out a tweet tonight, which or maybe again a sky sent out a social media missive tonight in which he said, amidst everything that has been going on with the Knicks so far this year, something that has kind of gotten lost is how seamless Towns' transition has been on the offensive end of the floor. And you watch him out there and you see him, and granted, are the Nets maybe a pretty good matchup because they have a bunch of small guys? Sure. But that's also like a ripe invitation to like get out of your normal game and to start forcing stuff and to start doing stuff you wouldn't usually do. Not Towns, not tonight. Towns like took exactly what the defense gave him, and you could argue he made the right play like every time he touched the ball. Opportunity for him to go into the post and go mouse in the house and score that way, I'll take it. If you're going to give me the three, Knicks weren't really hitting their threes tonight. I want to get back to that point in a bit. Towns only was 1 for 3 from there, but you give me that shot, I'll take it. And most of all, if you pay a lot of attention to me and you're going to let my teammates run around, unfettered, I can make, like, he is looking like really the second best passing center in the league. Maybe actually no, that Domantas Sabonis has to get that. Let's call it the third. Let's call it the third best passing center in the league, but that's still pretty damn good. Finished tonight with 6 assists. He was one of 4 Knicks to finish with 6 assists. And that is really good to see. I want to get back to that point as well. But just really good stuff from Karl-Anthony Towns. He's awesome. Defensively, what we saw tonight, I think, was probably the biggest collective team story of the game was how much hedging the Knicks did. They've been dabbling more and more. This was by far the most hard hedging that we have seen them do in any game this season. I would say that it was effective at times. At other times, there were some breakdowns. Now, I wanted, again, give credit to the Nets. Nets are a feisty team, and they had guys come in the first half especially, making threes that you wouldn't normally expect those guys to make, your Wilsons and your Clownies and your whoever's of the world. But, like, you look at the Nets stat sheet, like they took 41 threes, they made 41.5% of them. Now, they also missed a couple of guys, missed decent looks, but, so the guys that the Knicks were helping off of definitely made them pay in the first half. I still think, even if you don't expect those guys to maybe make all those shots, I still think that form of defense could get a little bit better, and we know that because it got more effective at other parts of the game. I thought when Jericho Sims was in those situations with the hard hedges, I thought he was very effective for sure. So it's nice to see them progressing and trying out different things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. It's all part of the process of learning how to be the most effective version of this basketball team. But by and large, I think I kind of liked what I saw defensively tonight. This Nets team came in top 10 offense, and they had 41% of the threes tonight, and you held them to 104 points. That, to me, putting everything else aside, I'm gonna feel good about those numbers. Some other numbers I'm gonna feel good about, and we'll do these, and then we'll do the autograph signature moment, and then we'll get to the super chats. I gotta pull up a few stats here because the Knicks tonight had. I mentioned they had 4 players with at least 6 assists, and those were Towns, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. Talked about he was really played within himself. Again, shout out to Jalen Brunson and Cam Payne. How about Cam Payne 6 assists in 17 minutes? That is for this season, the 2024-25 season. That is the one. I know Breen said this on the broadcast, but I want to make sure I got it right. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th time in 13 games the Knicks have assisted at least or dished at least 30 assists. And then again, Breen said this on the broadcast last season in 82 games, Only 10 such games. Significant sign of progress where the offense isn't just relying on the individual talents of their players. They are coming together as a unit, and they're all contributing to that. OG is contributing in a big way. Towns, without questions, contributing in a big way. And Jalen Brunson, again, I know the shot wasn't going down tonight, but really, really, really playing great team ball. And they, if his shot was going down tonight, it would have been another game where they scored 125, which they seem to score every night. The other one that I want to give them credit for, I mentioned only hit 32.5% from three this season. Or sorry, tonight. This season, this is now the third time that the Knicks have hit 32% or worse from three in a game, and they have won won. They've done it 5 total times, and they've won 3 of those games. Last season, Knicks failed to hit 32% from deep 20 times, and they had 4 wins out of those 20. So this season, 3 out of 5. Last season, 4 out of 20. Point is, this team last year was incredibly dependent on its three-point shooting. For as much as everybody wanted to talk about, it was gritty and the defense, and they never gave in and they never gave up. Look, if this team wasn't hitting threes last year, they really couldn't score. And that's why they lost all of those games. Granted, they were injured, but still, the point remains. This year, they, again, if they were hitting the three, there were so many good looks from three tonight that they just missed. And it's not like they're a bad three-point shooting team, because you look at the season-long numbers, they've been largely excellent from three. So it's just great to see them be able to win a game in which, and again, I think I grouped those two stats together, the assist stat and the three-point stat, because I think it really does show the evolution of this offense. Right now, the Knicks are 8th in three-point percentage. So it's fallen from where it was, but that's actually encouraging to me that it's fallen, because you knew they weren't going to hit whatever they were hitting through, 7 or 8 games, 41, 42% from three the whole year. I think they're where they are now, 37.5% from deep, 37.8%. I think that's sustainable. I think that's very sustainable. So all that's good stuff. And I've been bouncing it around in my head which way I want to go for the autograph signature moment of the game. I think I could go a couple of different directions. I'm going to go with, there was this, okay. Yeah, I got to go with respect and admiration for the sequence where you had Karl-Anthony Towns and OG teaming up for some great transition D after Brunson hit Hart on a great pass. Hart just couldn't finish, got blocked at the rim. So you had Towns, OG, transition defense. Then JB hit Hart again. This time he did finish, but fell on the floor. And then you had Towns with more great transition D on the other end. That came midway through the third quarter. That's my runner-up. I got to give the autograph signature moment of the game to the passing flurry that Karl-Anthony Towns had at the beginning of the third quarter, where he hit OG, then he hit OG again, and this time OG was blocked, and then he hit Jalen Brunson, which was also blocked. So my signature moment of the game is 2 out of the 3 shots were blocked, but it was really, to me, emblematic of how much Karl-Anthony Towns can dominate this offense as a passer, and how maybe the thing that will be one of the defining stories of this season, and indeed this era of Knicks basketball, is how they transition from an offense that was so Jalen Brunson centric to one where everybody has, a hand in bringing it to its ceiling. And that doesn't mean Jalen Brunson is going to be relegated to a guy who starts scoring 15 points a game. Obviously, that's not the case. But you're starting to see the signs of an offense that really, it just really could be unguardable, especially when they're hitting their threes. And tonight, they weren't even hitting their threes, and they were still kind of unguardable. So that's our autograph signature moment of the game. If you somehow do not have the Autograph app, go download that sucker right now. You can find the link in any of my bios on social media. If you don't, you can just go to the App Store, wherever you get your apps, and use code KFS when you're downloading it. I will have my weekly Macri 3x3 up there tomorrow, in which I talk about 3 things of interest from this past week, and then look forward to 3 things of note in the week ahead. And yeah, Autograph, get rewarded for your fandom. All right. On that note, don't think I missed anything big. I mean, I'm happy to. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of different sorts of things tonight. Happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Lots of stuff to be happy about. Lots of stuff to be excited about moving forward. Really want to secure that freaking win tomorrow night against the Washington Wizards and head out on that West Coast trip, 8-6, because West Coast trips are never easy. We'll talk about who they face on that trip a little bit later in the show, but let's get started on the Super Chats. First up, AL Oran Bouch. Never was a Cat fan, but love the potential of this team. 2, can we stop with the 2 big lineup talk? 3, why was Cat still in after hurting his back? So I'll start with number 3. I was shocked. I was shocked he came out to start the 4th quarter. Don't have a great answer other than I always tend to trust the medical professionals in that situation. And if they ask him whatever questions they need to ask him and he gives them whatever answers he needs to give them, like I think that's purely a medical thing where that the medical people are going to make that decision based on whatever conversation they have with Cat. Short of that, I can't give you a great answer. I can't sit here and like kill them because he was still in the game, because that would just be me being ignorant talking about something of which I'm not familiar. I wasn't a Cat fan either. I wasn't a Cat fan either. And I think if you weren't a Cat fan and you talked yourself into this trade, you had to do so. And this is going to lead to your last point, kind of under the auspices of like, okay, it's, we'll figure out a way to make it work, where nobody else has. Now, I think there's evidence why it has never fully worked before with Towns at the 5, especially since they haven't really done it in a couple of years. And I think he's a better player now. And I think the surrounding roster that he has now, in terms of him at the 5, is far better equipped to facilitate that, early returns notwithstanding. But so yeah, but like, because you see him at the 5 and you see what he's able to do with the 5 offensively, and it's just like that, and that's leads you to your next point, which is like, can we stop with the 2 big lineup talk? Look, I'll say it again. If you want to have a second big next to Towns as a changeup, as an off-speed pitch, as something to throw out, there's even a world where I could see them, and I could see the argument for against certain teams and certain playoff matchups, maybe even starting double big. You could talk me into that, because in the NBA, to go all the way, you have to have different looks. But you will never, ever, ever get me to come off of the point, unless they bring in a center who is just wildly different from the personnel they currently have in terms of who is required to guard that player. And again, if you're getting that, you're not getting that player. Like, that player doesn't, those players are really hard to come by. You're just not going to convince me that the 2 big thing is something that they should bank on as like, that is our baseline. That is our default. Because at the end of the day, you want to win an NBA championship, you have to be elite at something. And the way the league has been trending for about a decade now, you have to be elite at offense. And the way they get elite at offense, we're seeing it. And it's with Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5. So that's that. Thanks, AL. Armand Bernajaj. Knicks do stupid Yankee shit to kill momentum. They're still not quite all the way there. Like, every game they've had a lead this season, with the exception of the Detroit game, and they've had leads in pretty much every game. You can point to moments, stretches where the game is there for the taking or the game is there for the putting away, and they don't do it. I hear you. Part of the process. Give it time. I'm not saying give it years. I'm not even saying give it half a season. Let's see if that sort of stuff starts to improve somewhere between the 20 and 30 game mark. That's where I'm at. Thanks, Armand. Appreciate you. Kanye and Pepper. What's going on, Kanye? Is it me, or does it feel like the refs are hosing the Knicks with these calls? There's always something I forget to talk about in the monologue, and you just reminded me, so thank you. I'm glad we got to it early. Towns consistently gets the whistle against him, never for him. Brunson, thanks. No, it was, I thought it was egregious. I thought the whistle was egregious tonight in favor of the Nets. If that was a fair whistle, Knicks probably win this game by 20. And it's probably not nearly as tense down the stretch. I don't know why that was. I hope it's not a trend. Do I think it's been I don't think it's ever been as bad as this season. I think on the whole, the Knicks have gotten a worse whistle than they've gotten a better one, for sure. I don't think it was ever as bad as tonight. Do I feel like Brunson and Towns in particular again? Like Towns gives refs opportunities to blow the whistle. That's always been his thing. And it's something that hopefully he can improve a little bit. Like his 2 fouls in the first half were like just ridiculous. And I have no problem with them being called fouls. Like he kicked the guy in the nuts and then he committed just probably the stupidest foul he's committed all season on that Cam Thomas one. Anyway, what else? Brunson's how he's getting officiated. Yeah, I don't think it's great. I don't think it's great. I still don't think he has the respect that other stars around the league get because he's small. But what can you do? I don't think you're wrong. Say that. Sam Garcia, Huck Porty not playing tonight was malpractice. All right, we got our first genuinely angry super chat. Sam, I love you, man. I appreciate you. At some point, you kind of have to trust, like, what we don't know. Like, there's a whole, like, we see so little of the evidence that goes into making these sorts of decisions, and I think Huck Porty did some incredible things the other night. Truly, really incredible things. And it's why Tom Thibodeau played him 30 minutes. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And it's, I mean, like, putting aside whether or not Huck Porty should have played, that this is the comment that you're making on a night where A, Sims played pretty well, and B, like, there's 24 other things to talk about, is like, I think you might have to step out of the forest for a bit because you're missing sight of the trees, brother. Thanks, Sam. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? Thought that was the best defensive effort of the season. Non-Detroit vision, sure, and we could relegate the Detroit game to, like, that was more about Detroit than what the Knicks were doing. So, and you know what, though? At the same time, I'll give you a little bit of pushback because I always have to give you some shit, Kev. They have, what do we got here? I mean, they've held teams under 100 points 4 times. Now, one of those was the Detroit game. The Milwaukee game, they were pretty good defensively in that game. The first Indiana game was, I think, probably more about what Indiana was doing wrong and how bad Halliburton was. The Sixers game, yeah, I'll go. This was better than the Sixers game. I don't know. It's either, putting aside the Pistons game, it's either this or the Bucks game. I really like the way they defended the night of the Bucks game. I think they I would argue they controlled the game defensively against Milwaukee, or like they played their game defensively against Milwaukee more than they played their. Like I still think Brooklyn dictated terms a little bit tonight to them, as opposed to them dictating terms to Brooklyn. But it was one of the best. Could we agree on that? Anyway, okay. Enough giving you shit. OG just looks unbelievable. If the dude had a handle, he'd be a top 5 player in the league. You know, I don't even I want to sit here and be like he's the best role player in basketball, but I think I just don't. There is a section of the Venn diagram in between role player and like unquestioned role player and unquestioned star, and I think OG exists in that in between, and and even that may be disparaging in the eyes of some people because you know who want to be like, no, he's just a full flat out star. When you defend like that and you shoot like that and you could take advantage of mismatches like that. I mean, the dude is. I mean, I'll look up his stats in a minute, but like the dude is like he's been insane. He's been unbelievable this year. In every way. Like, in what way could he have possibly been better than what he has already been? Like, there's nothing else that he could do. Right now, he's the Knicks' third leading scorer. He's averaging 17.5 points a game, which is right around, I think, his career high. He's shooting 50% from the field, 37.3% from deep on 6 attempts per game, 80.6% from the line, and that's missing 2 free throws tonight. He hasn't taken a lot. That number's surprising. 5.5 rebounds, probably used a little bit more there. 2.2 assists, probably used a little bit more there. And then 1.4 steals and 0.7 blocks. He's in the All-Star conversation. He's in the All-Star conversation without question. Thanks, Kev. I-95 bully, 24 from OG within the flow of the offense. Yes. With the important asterisk, and this is always where it has to be in the flow of the offense versus, well, sometimes you just got to go get a bucket. There's always this push and pull between those two things, because sometimes within the flow of the offense is, hey, OG Anunoby has a guy on him guarding him that's 6'3", and that he outweighs by 40 pounds. Let's dump the ball into him and let's see what he can do. That's within the flow of the offense, right? And it's great that he gives you the ability to make those plays and to have those plays be effective moments for your offense where you could kind of just make your life easy for a possession or two. So yeah, I love all that stuff. He's been awesome. Thanks, I-95. Hush Zoo, guaranteed in life, death, taxes, and McCall's MIDI. That's what I want to look up. But again, I'm not gonna. It has become absurd how automatic Macau Bridges is from the mid range. So I'm pulling up the cleaning the glass stats, even though they're not going to be updated, because I'm not about to go searching NBA.com for their mid range stuff, because that's not a user friendly site in many ways, even though I love what they do. So Macau coming into tonight from the mid range. This is all mid rangers, 59% overall, 62% on long twos, 10 to 16. Again, this coming into tonight. And then 58% on short mid rangers. Those numbers, the mid range numbers, in the 89th percentile amongst forwards across the league. And he's still hitting right around 50% from the corners. It's just the above the break threes. And he had a couple opportunities tonight that didn't go down. It'll come around eventually, but to have that be so automatic, like think about IQ's floater, how much we all fell in love with that when it first came about. And that was never, I'm not sure quickly. I'll look it up right now. I'm not sure quickly ever got over 50% from floater range. Maybe he got close, but like we were like, oh my God, that's such a weapon. He's shooting 60% from this area. It's absurd. What did Quickly get to? Quickly got to 51%. Okay, well, his last year in New York, he was 51% over those 30 games. But yeah, it just goes to show how important that is. Thanks, Hush. Jessica, what's going on, Jess? Nice to net another win. I see what you did there. The hashtag great gelling of 24-25 continues. Progress is not linear, but laughing at the Nets is eternal. Carl was great. OG has been fire. Let's go Knicks. You always manage to get everything in your super chats, which I appreciate. A lot of economy there of word usage. Yeah, progress is not linear. We had a bad fourth quarter against the Nets. We had a bad first 2.5 quarters against the Bulls. And then we had a bad fourth quarter against the Pacers. Like, there's been bad spots here and there, but I don't know. I think this team, I like the way they're trending. I like the way they're trending. I like what I'm seeing overall. I feel like there's progress being made. Again, the movement from basically exclusively drop to like, okay, we're going to mix in some other stuff to now doing the last 2 games, a lot more of that other stuff. That's encouraging to me. And the offense, I mean, what can you say about the offense? Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate you as always. Let's do another one. Bringing in a second star. Honestly, I think we all thought Brunson would be the biggest beneficiary, but right now it seems like it's OG. He gets open a lot. Yes, I would argue OG Anunoby has been the biggest beneficiary by far from Karl Anthony Towns being brought in. And I would say that Karl Anthony Towns has benefited a lot from Jalen Brunson. The frightening thing, to me at least, is that, and look, maybe this is just how teams are guarding him, and he needs to continue to adjust to like the length the teams are throwing on him, and the fact that teams don't seem to want to let him be the one to beat them. I don't feel like we've really seen Brunson benefit yet. Not that he's not benefiting, but I don't think we have seen anywhere close to the true manifestation of the benefits that he is getting and will get from playing alongside Towns. And all you need to do to look at that is you could almost look at his minutes that he plays with Towns, and then you could look at his minutes that he plays with more traditional centers who he's used to playing with, and you could argue that he's maybe been more effective with some of those other guys because they're just screen and let me go to work, and I think that'll get better, so give it time. I just checked. They're still the third best offense in basketball. They are a full 1.2 points per 100 possessions, better, actually 1.3 points per 100 possessions, better than the Warriors, who are in fourth. They are a full 2 points per 100 possessions, better than the fifth place Lakers. And they are a full 3.5 points per 100 possessions, better than the sixth place Kings. I mean, we keep doing this. They're 5.3 points per 100 possessions, better than the seventh place Grizzlies. So again, when you say the Knicks are an elite offense, they are an elite offense that even if they had a significant drop off, they would still be comfortably in the top 10. And that was the gambit, right? Have one of the top 2 or 3 offenses in basketball. Now you just got to be an average defense. And where are they on the defensive rating right now after this game? Still 21st. And if we're doing the same exercise, they're a full point per 100 possessions behind the Charlotte Hornets. So listen, when you're 1 point per 100 possessions worse defensively than the Charlotte Hornets, you got some work to do. And the first hurdle, get to at league average. Right now, league average is 113.5 because I have the Nuggets at 113.4 and I have the Bucks at 113.6. So 113.5. How far do we have to go to get there? 2 points per 100 possessions. So you know what that is? That's 1 shot a game. Stop 1 more shot a game, and you're there. We could get there. Thanks, Hush. I know I went off on a tangent on that. Sorry. Dom the Dentist. This here is a minutes complaint. Back to back. Come on, Tibbs. I got you, man. I did it for you. I was right there. I was right there at the outset. I think I talked about it, 7 minutes in? You know? Um, uh, it's not what you want. It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but, like, look, this was a game until the final 5 minutes, and he's dealing with a thin bench right now. No Deuce, no Precious. You're without your 6th man, you're without your 7th man. You wanna throw Mitchell Robinson in that conversation? You're without your 8th man, although, Mitchell Robinson probably higher on the pecking order than that. Um, it's tough. It's tough, but I'm not saying you're wrong. Thanks, Tom. Kento Cato, what's going on, Kento? Nice having a team that could withstand JB shooting so bad. Sims with nice minutes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Cam and Dottie A2. Another OG masterclass. Mikal, 2 good games in a row. Defensively, I think you're focusing on. Yeah, I think I'm curious. I think Fred might have something coming out on Bridges' defense soon. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak out of turn. But I thought his defense today was even better than yesterday. Now, granted, he wasn't on the ball as much because you had OG picking up Cam Thomas, but he was good. He was good. And, like, again, seeing OG get screened off of Cam a few times tonight is a reminder that, like, and this, I'm shouting out your point, Kevin Danishevsky. Or no, sorry, not Kevin. This is James's point. I mixed up which side of the argument the two of you were on. Yeah, no, that, like, everybody gets screened off from time to time. That's the NBA. It's how do you respond to it? So, yeah, Bridges is coming around. Still waiting for the above the break 3, but he'll be fine. Thanks, Kento. Greg B. What's going on, Greg? First super chat of the season. Well, welcome aboard. Happy to have you. Great to come on a night where we beat little brother. Never gets old. Feels like fans haven't got behind Payne yet, but they should. Pull-up shooting is huge for New York, and it seems like he cares and is bought in. He's a flamethrower and plays a huge role. Well, I know you're not saying me, you're saying fans in general. I've been a massive fan of Cam Payne since he first stepped foot on the court for this team in the preseason. And that's because I know exactly what he is. And every team in the league that's trying to win something could use a guy like Cam Payne. And I think you saw that when he was on a per minute basis, he was the best player on the floor against the Bulls. I know he had a couple misses late against the Nets on Friday. I thought he was effective against the Nets in that game somewhat. And tonight, again, the momentum changed when he came in the game, and that's not an accident. He has the unfortunate misfortune of being the guy standing in the way of the rookie that everybody wants to love. And he didn't do anything to deserve that. It's tough for him. But, like, if you're watching these games and you can't recognize what he's out there contributing and how much he means, and, like, he does exactly what he is supposed to do when he comes into the game on both ends of the floor. Exactly what he's supposed to do. Is he perfect? No. If he was a perfect player, he wouldn't have been available for the minimum, and he wouldn't be playing 12 minutes a night. But this guy is, like, he's exactly what you want on your team. He's tough-nosed. Like, for all the people lamenting that this year's team isn't last year's team, and last year's team had this toughness and this grittiness and all that jazz, like, y'all should be rooting for Cam Payne harder than anybody, because that's what he is. And by the way, just looked it up, 40% from deep this season on 3.7 attempts per game in 15 minutes. So he is jacking right now on a per 36-minute basis. I think he might be putting up more threes per 36 minutes than anybody on the team. Hang on. Yeah, 8.6. 39.4%. Now, I know what people are going to say. Look at the next guy on the list, Tyler Kolek, 7.4 threes per 36 minutes, and he's shooting 54.5%. Yes, I love Tyler Kolek. I can't wait for Tyler Kolek to get the backup point guard job eventually when he's ready. Defensively right now, it's not there. It's just not there yet. And and Payne does a lot of other stuff. He does a lot of, getting on the floor and all that sort of thing. He's gonna help this team this year for sure. Thanks, Greg. David Futternick. Hello, sir. Call the Knicks Joe Tsai because they own the Nets. That's great. I love you. Go back to Jersey. Hashtag that pygmy thing. Man, the Nets. Can I? Of course, I'm going to do this after you say this funny super chat. Can I take a minute, not to laugh at the Nets, but to actually praise this team? This team, I thought I'd shout out to Andrew Claudio and Evan Roberts, who did a great pregame pod on Friday live. It was very fun to listen to. And Evan Roberts said right at the top of that pod, before he said that he was actively rooting against the Knicks this year, which I can't blame him for. He said he's enjoying this Nets season because all the pressure's off. This is just all it's all free money. And when you have a team where there's no expectations and you own your own draft pick and you own other teams' draft picks and you got a couple of exciting young players and you go out there and you just play hard every night and you give good teams a run for their money and then you win some games against some good teams, it's a great spot to be in. I'm sure all Evan Roberts and his 86 friends in Netsdom are having just the best time this year because I can't imagine what a miserable, just daily colonoscopy of an existence it must have been for them for really the entirety of the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James, and if you want to throw in Harden in there, James Harden era. I know they won a lot of games, and I know they were, a shoe size away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't know. I know you're in it to win it, and this team doesn't have a chance to win a championship, and that team did. But I have to think that this is at least more enjoyable. But sports is funny like that sometimes. I'm sure most people watching this enjoyed the second half of last season more than they've enjoyed this season so far. And the second half of last season was just guys just trying to survive one game to the next. But those are the teams you fall in love with. And hey, this Nets team is going to make, maybe they'll make an 88th fan, 89th fan, maybe even a 90th fan because they're playing so hard and being so scrappy. Okay. Let's talk quickly about our friends. Oh, wait, no, one more. Andrew Claudio, laugh at them. I will. No, you could laugh at them. I'm not going to laugh at the Nets. I'm not going to laugh at them because they're playing respectable basketball. Benji tweeted it out before. They're a pain in the ass. They're scrappy. They're gritty. So give them credit for that. You can laugh at them. When we record tomorrow with Jeremy, you could laugh at them. Okay. I think we got one more or a couple more, and then we're going to hear from our friends. Or we can do it now. There we go. Rich McLeod, heavy dose of painkillers tonight. PAYNE killers. I see what you did there. Okay. Now that I've botched that up, now we can do the ad read. Okay. Let's hear from our friends, our good friends at BetUS. If you're looking for a new book this basketball season or just a better book, BetUS is your answer with the fastest payouts in the industry and fast and easy withdrawal and deposit process. The promo code, you should know it by heart by now, YouTube 150. That's it. YouTube 150 for your 150% bonus on your first deposit, as well as 125% bonus on your next two up to $2,000. We got a link to BetUS in the description of this episode below, so check that out. And then you can take advantage of all of their perks. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering, best betting variety, 10% back on your net losses twice a year, and your own personal account manager. One more time, promo code YouTube 150 to get that 150% bonus on your first deposit, plus the 125% on your next two. Reminder, gambling involves risk. Only gamble with funds that you can afford to lose. All forms of betting carry financial risk, and it is down to the individual to make bets with or without the assistance of the information provided. How you doing? Well, I'm pleased it's going down easy tonight. But then again, it goes down easy every night because it's freaking delicious. I love this stuff. Okay. Juanon. Hello, friend. The chemistry between Cat and OG is great already, and it's only going to get better. By 50 games, we're going to talk about how he's helping Cat become a better defender, too. I see the vision, Leon. Fire tips. You know what would be so cool? I know this was not your super chat, but I'm going to make the point anyway. How cool would it be for this team to go through like a stretch of 10 games where they're really good defensively? That'll have people excited more than any of this fancy schmancy offense stuff that they're doing. Like, could you argue if you were to rank NBA duos by how mutually beneficial they are to one another, where would Cat and OG rank? Like, clearly, organizationally, they think they rank pretty high because it hasn't been like minute for minute, but sure trying to match Cat's minutes a lot with OG, certainly more than with Brunson on either of them. More like, so yeah, I think they see that, and with good reason, because you have OG there to kind of pick up the slack for Cat on defense. You have Cat there to amplify OG on offense. And you have OG there as a great outlet for Cat on defense. It actually makes me wonder. See if I could do this in like under 15 seconds and then filibuster for that entire time. So yeah, again, cleaning the glass doesn't have the updated lineup data, including tonight, but coming into tonight, when Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby shared the floor. So the offense has been gangbusters, 129.9, or excuse me, 121.9, 121.9. Make that very clear. But giving up 119.4. So the defense is what's been really falling down. Now, yeah, and that's mostly because of the starting lineup. The defense of the starting lineup has been very bad. But this is interesting. So the defense of the starting lineup, again, this is according to Cleaning the Glass before tonight. The defensive rating 124.1 and the offensive rating 120.7. So Cat and OG with the starting lineup have played about 400 minutes or 400 possessions. They've played about a little bit more than 200 additional possessions together when they are not with the entire starting lineup. And it's interesting that in like the offense gets better and the defense gets better. So the starting lineup has not clicked the way we wanted to so far. But if you look at the numbers for those two guys individually together, when the two of them are together, it makes it clear that that partnership is working very much so. So, and as you say, it'll get even better. Thanks, Juanon. Appreciate you as always, man. Your insights are never not welcome. I'll say that. Hush Zoo. Got to give him credit. Sims played very well tonight. Yeah, right? I mean, he did very well. Maybe a little strong, but like he was, at the very least, he was fine. That's why I was surprised to, like, I know we all want to see the rookies. I get it, but once Sims leaves this rotation, if and when it happens, and I suspect it will happen at some point, that's it. That's the end of his NBA career. That's the other point that I really wanted to make before is like, and I think this is why guys like Tibbs. I think this is part of the reason that you have certain guys, not everybody, certain guys really, really will go to bat for Tibbs, because if you go out there and you execute the game plan, even if you might make some mistakes, if you go out there and you do what you're supposed to do generally, like he's going to give you every opportunity until you just prove that you're not good enough, And so I think, you want to say that this is like Jericho Sims' last stand. I don't think that's inaccurate, and he's going to give him every opportunity to make that last stand, which I'm personally, I'm okay with. I understand that's not the case for everybody. Thanks, Hushu. Greg Film Stuff. What's going on? Greg, thank you for the very generous contribution, my friend. I love the fact that we could win games without Brunson scoring 20. And the best part was his 10 dimes. I would like to see New York get Sims more involved in the offense with lobs, and fans need to ease off of McCall. He's been fine lately. Yeah, I mean, we've killed the guy. I should say we. I've pointed out when he's not played well, but he's been killed a decent amount. And what has he done this season? Again, this is including tonight. He is shooting 48.6% from the field overall, and that is with 32.6% from three. And the threes make up almost half of his shots. And as we went through before, he's been lights out from inside the arc, and he's been lights out from the corners. Yeah, I mean, he's pulling down 4 rebounds a night. Like, the thing that I think is disconcerting is the on-off stuff. And I like, as early as in the season as it is, I haven't wanted to make too much of those numbers. Give it 20 games before we go really nuts with that. But he's been better lately, and all he needs to do is be like, just again, I've said it several times. His superpower is his consistency across the board. He does everything at a high level. He doesn't need to do anything at an elite level. Or let me rephrase that. He doesn't need to be a shot creator, an elite shot creator. The occasional shot creation's all he needs to do. Everything else has to be very, very, very good to close to elite. But he's done that before in his career, and that's all they need him to do here. And I think he'll do it. Your point about Brunson is a great one. Really nice. Like, this has been now for JB. Let me see this, because he had the back-to-back games where he had 19 assists. So here are his last 6 games, assist-wise: 9, 10, 5, 8, 7, 10. That's as good a stretch as he's had distributing the basketball as we've seen from him, I think, as a Knick. Really, really, really strong stuff. And like, since you could even go back, he started off the year slow. He had 2 assists in the opener, and they had 5 assists in the next game. Since those first 2 games, dude's at 7.5 assists a night. Like, that's really good. That's really good. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Thanks, Greg. Tom Cappuccini. Our wishes came true at halftime, my friend. What we wanted, like, just give me an easy win, please. It wasn't as easy as we probably would have liked, but it was pretty good. Great second half, great win. Get some rest. Lion King number 32. I hope we see more and more of Dadier. I like that, Lion King. The scoring will come. That's a good nickname for Cat. Is that like a thing, or did you just come up with that? I think it's kind of cool because Cat, he's got the beard going, kind of like the lion's mane. Maybe, I don't know. It might be a stretch. Yeah, I want to see more of Dadier. I'm surprised he doesn't get more love tonight. Those were quality minutes. And they're gonna need more people at some point. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow night. We'll see like a nice 20-minute Dadier performance. That would be cool. I would like that. Thank you, Dom. Dom with another one. Thank you again. For all of those who missed Big Huck tonight, we should all root for his appearance tomorrow. No need for the big cat tomorrow night. Go win your week, John. I thought about that. I did think about that. I thought about that I've thought about that a few times this week because after that Bulls game, I don't know how I was feeling about the 4-1 selection. I'm feeling okay about it right now. Do I want to give Cat the night off? I mean, you should still be able to beat the Washington freaking Wizards. No offense to them. I think they've lost 7 games in a row without Karl-Anthony Towns. But I tell you, you know who I'd like to have back for that game is Deuce McBride. I like to have Deuce McBride back for that game. But and still see Dadier. Have Cam and Deuce and Dadier and Huck Porty. How's that for a fun second unit there? So there you go. I like it. Ja so focused. What's going on, Ja? How you doing, man? If I told you, you stole my line, 4 Knicks would score 20 points tonight, how long before you name all 4 players who didn't? JB with a strong 12 and 10 and the W. Sad for no Huck Tua. I know. Everybody loves Huck. We'll get him. He'll get his time. He'll get his moments. It's going to happen. Yeah. No, I would have I mean, everybody would have named every player before Jalen Brunson. So, yeah. Thanks, Shah. Hush Zoo. Does Josh Hart have a real shot at most improved player this year? No, he does not have a shot at most improved player. I mean, that's an interesting question. Which Knick right now has the best shot at most improved player? I mean, none of them do, is the real answer. I mean, he's missed the last couple of games. Deuce is no, it's not Deuce. They don't have anybody. I'm not gonna name a name. I was like, does OG have a case because he's really doing a lot of stuff on offense? Like the dude was. It's not like he's scoring 10 more points a game or something, you know. Yeah, that's not an award that they will contend for. 6th man of the year, Deuce, they'll contend for that. You know, I don't. OG defensive player of the year. I hope he contends for that. He should. Thanks, Hush. Justin Richards, what's going on? Okay, I like this already. I'm here for this argument. Respectfully, John, Cat has been the team's best player. OG's offense is largely due to Cat and JB's gravity. I love OG, but Cat is what makes the team a title contender. So, couple things. One, abso-fucking-lutely on that last point. Cat is what makes the team a title contender, and I would go a little bit further and say Cat at the 5 is what makes the team a title contender. Not playing the type of defense they're playing right now, but when they get there, his placement at the 5 and his gravity and everything he does to impact the offense, both individually and his impact on everybody else, is what will make them a full-fledged title contender. Completely agree. I also agree on your point about OG's offense. It is in large part due to Cat and JB's gravity. No disagreement. I find these conversations difficult to have because, for this reason, Karl-Anthony Towns is being asked not as much as Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson has to wizard up so much of his own offense. Towns doesn't necessarily have to do that. Like, you know, his threes, a lot of them are just like, hey, no one's going to guard me all the way out here. All right, I'll put it up, you know? But a lot of the stuff inside the arc, he's making happen. Whether it's because he's putting the ball on the floor and driving, whether it's because he's backing somebody down, whether it's because he's grabbing an offensive rebound, whether it's because he's moving out the basketball. And that stuff is freaking hard. And it is available to him because obviously he can hit those threes. And there aren't, I don't want to do a ranking right now, but like there aren't many guys in the league who could do that. Now, there aren't many guys in the league who can impact the game defensively like OG Anunoby can. And I don't for a second want to think about where the Knicks would have been defensively. I mean, what are they, 21st right now? Would they be 30th without OG Anunoby this year? 28th, 29th, something. Is defense worth more than offense? No. Is it worth the same? I don't know. I do know this. For as much as OG has taken advantage of the advantages that others have created for him, he has been an incredibly effective offensive player. Karl Anthony Towns has had a few nice moments on defense here and there. He has not been an effective defensive player this year. So to say that Cat has been the team's best player, you are saying that what he does on the offense and his impact on the offense is materially higher, I think, at the very least, than OG's impact on the defense. But as I say that, the Knicks are third in offense and they're 21st in defense. So whatever impact OG is having on, so really, you know what the fair way to have, here's the fair way to have the conversation. Probably, I think. What would the Knicks be ranked on defense without OG Anunoby? If you want to say they would be bottom three, bottom two, bottom three, okay. That's what, an eight place drop. What would the Knicks be on offense without Karl Anthony Towns? I have a funny feeling they'd still be a top 10 offense. I don't know. My gut is to agree with you. Despite what I said earlier in the show, my gut is to agree with you. Because I just, like putting aside all of the analysis, Karl Anthony Towns is just a better basketball player than OG Anunoby. He's just, we don't need to go through jump through all these hoops to know that. And yet, do I want to say that Cat has been their best player? That may seem like semantics to you. It is a hashtag meaningful difference to me. It's a great discussion. I really do think it's a great discussion. For me at least. But you may think it's just obvious, but I think it's a fun argument to have. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate that. That was a fun one. Sam Garcia with another one. They played great tonight. Just mad Huck Tua sat. I know. Everybody wants to see Huck Tua. I don't know how I feel about that nickname. I just go with Huck. I like Huck. The Incredible Huck, if you want. Is there? No. Let's go with the Incredible Huck or Incredible Hulk. I don't know. One of those two. Yeah, no. They were good. I have a funny feeling you're going to get some Huck 40 minutes tomorrow night. How about that? Thank you, Sam. Jason M. Here we go. I gave you some shout outs. Change the defense. Macau looks good. Who could guess? So where I'm struggling here because I feel like the skill set that Macau was struggling with, which is screen navigation, consistent screen navigation at an effective level. I wouldn't want to suggest that moving forward that skill set is not important, but that's not what you're suggesting. You're just suggesting that the tweak that they've made, it was maybe enough to make him more effective, which is true and fair. I don't know. There's in my core, I don't feel like we're out of the. I was just I'm not troubled. That's too strong a word. Like everybody, I didn't love what I saw from him, and I can't shake that fully just because they have made some adjustments here. You make a great point, Jason. I don't know. I'm just curious to see how his defense looks for the rest of the year. It's obviously something we'll continue to monitor. How about that? Appreciate you, man. Kevin Danishevsky, what do you think about Dorian Finney-Smith as a deadline move? So the Nets are going to trade with us again? For what? Now, what do you want to give him now? You want to give him the 31 pick swap and 26? And Mitch, obviously, for salary purposes. I mean, every team in the league would want Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't know if OG would. OG, I don't know if he wants Dorian Finney-Smith as his teammate, but I'm sure that'd be fine. Man. I mean, I'm not gonna say no. He's a great player. He's a very good role player. I'd say that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it happen. I would be surprised. But you've been right before, Kev. Notably. Thank you, Kev. Trevor Boom, thank you for the contribution. Appreciate you. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on, Ray? We know they're still figuring this out, but what is your biggest concern? And just curious, at what point do we get concerned with Brunson's play? Brunson's play is not, there is not 1% of me that is concerned about Brunson's play. Because I don't think his play has been poor. He has had some off shooting nights. His 3-pointer has gone a little cold of late. That happens. That guys go a little cold. Like, he'll be fine. He'll go through, just like we've been saying, like with DiVincenzo over in Minnesota. Like, Brunson's gonna go through a stretch of 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever games where he's hitting 50% from 3 again. He'll be fine. He's the mid range. Like, he's gonna be fine. My biggest concern at the moment. I mean, the easy answer is like landing on a defense that works and getting to a place where you're consistently executing night after night on the defensive end. That's the easy answer. And like, what does that look like? Is it repeatable? Can you do it against good teams? Can we start to see some games where the Knicks are taking it to decent opponents on the defensive end? Like, do they have that gear in them occasionally? But more important, it's just like, it's a baseline of competence. I want to see something repeatable. I want to start to go into games feeling like I know what I'm going to get from the team on defense, and it's not a bad thing. That's the biggest concern. They will get there in some form or fashion. I want to see what it looks like. And because I know they were good tonight. I know they've switched things up a little bit here. Still don't feel like I've fully seen it yet, but again, it's early. I will say the depth, like, they've been very healthy. They have missed one starter for one game through 13 games. All of these starters are not playing every game. I mean, Mikal Bridges will play every game. Josh Hart will probably play every game. But, like, these other guys, like, they're going to miss time. And I would just really like for Precious Achiuwa to get back on the court in a timely manner, sooner rather than later. I mean, this injury, the fact that we're sitting here, they've played a month, I think, right? What is today? November 18th. Sunday, November. Yeah, it's 4 weeks. On Tuesday, season's 4 weeks old. Like, Precious isn't even. I don't know is he taking contact yet? I know the latest report is he's like made some kind of progress, but like, my God, like, they need him. So not concerned about. Yeah, I'm not concerned about anything else. This team is. I'm very happy with where things are at right now. It's more or less what I expected. It's just keep working on the kinks in the defense. They'll be fine. Not worried. Another one from Ray. maybe the cat benefit to JB is not having to be the number 1 or number 2 scoring option. Yes. Well, he needs to be the number 2 at the very least. Like he needs to be the number 1. Like if the Knicks are going to win anything, Jalen Brunson's leading the charge. Like the ball may be moving through Cat more, but like final 5 minutes, close games, like it's, that's Jalen Brunson time. And like there's going to be a lot of stretches against when playoff series teams are locked in. It's like, okay, all the fancy stuff falls by the wayside. Show me what you got. And that's Jalen Brunson time. So like and also it's not like he's a guy that like, oh, he's conserving energy so we could pay more attention on defense. Like that's not going to happen. I think not having to shoulder the whole load and maybe Brunson is fresher for the playoffs. That maybe is it, but I still don't feel like we've seen, like we've definitely seen some synergy between them. I just don't think it's as much as we're going to see. I don't think it's nearly as much as we're going to see. Really don't. I think we're getting a lot even better with those, with Brunson in particular. Thanks, Ray. Another one from Ray. Didn't even realize. I hope Evan Roberts invites you to the Moral Victories banner raising at Barclays. Hashtag own NYC. Yeah, no. They're not raising any banners at Barclays anytime soon. Thank the good Lord. Not that anybody cares. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate you as always, man. Connor Long, what's going on, Connor? Diehard Nets fan here. Okay, thanks for coming aboard. I can't wait to see what this is. And I am very pleased with their start, as you should be. As you should be. They're playing great basketball and challenging solid teams while helping the tank. It's like, it's honestly, it's every fan's dream. Have a feisty, competitive team that I think the one thing, and I don't know if you're in the Cam Thomas hive, the Cam thing, if I was a Net fan, would be, it would be like an itch that I can't fully scratch because I'm just so, I spoke about this the other night. I'm so fascinated by what the organization chooses to do there. Like, if he finishes the year averaging 25 points a game, he's going to walk into Sean Marks' office and be like, okay, pay me the max. I'm a max player. Like, why shouldn't he? Right? And like, do they want to do that? And what happens if they don't want to do that? Like, what I'm really fascinated by the situation. Like, does another team max him, give him a max offer sheet? I don't know. I could see it. Who's that team going to be? The Nets are one of the teams with cap room. Like, they're the only team with cap room. So I don't know. Is Houston gonna? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, who else is? You think San Antonio is going to entrust Wemby's prime to Cam Thomas? It's like I'm just really interested with how that's going to go. So that would be the one thing that's like kind of not a black cloud hanging over it, but something hanging over to the side where I'd be like, I don't know how I feel about it. But you guys are in a great spot. Like, obviously I hope the Knicks are good for a very long time, but you'd figure a couple of those picks are going to be good, and take your chances in this draft. You got a lot of talent. There'll still be more than enough time to tank later in the year to get down there, get your lottery balls up. So, yeah, it's good stuff. They're a pain in the ass to play, Connor. It's the best compliment I can give you. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. Pacome as a serviceable NBA wing would be such a boon for this franchise, both from an asset perspective and for getting through to at least the deadline. If he's like, if he shows real stuff, and like real stuff on defense, especially because the offense, I think everybody's confident in the offense, and that's the package that you have, that size. I don't want to move that guy. I want to keep him around for a while. Because that guy's going to help in a big time way, as you're implying. So yeah, will he, or will they have to cash in that chip? One step at a time. Let's give the kid more than a couple games to show what he's got. Okay. Let us do our out of town scoreboard, presented, of course, by our great friends at T Squared Social. If you are looking to go out and have the absolute best night in New York City, watching sports, or just the best night in New York City that you're going to have, go to T Squared Social. It is the biggest sports bar in New York. They are multifaceted. They do club nights that I was privy to some videos of, and I immediately texted my wife. I said, we gotta get to one of those and prove that we are still young at heart. Anyway, you get a free draft beer when you tell them KFS sent you, and you can go to their website, tsquaredsocial.com, to learn about club memberships, trivia nights, sports leagues, and much more. Again, keep an ear out for when we're going to be announcing the next watch party. It will not be in the too distant future, and we definitely have a ton coming up. Starting right around Christmas and then going all the way through the end of the year. So, yeah, T Squared Social. Shout out to you guys. The scoreboard. So, got to start with Cleveland. 128-114 over the Charlotte Hornets. Again, Hornets, credit to them. They made it a game for a little bit there in the second half. But the Cavaliers are 15-0. A few people have tweeted out the stat. Only 3 other teams in NBA history have started at least 15-0, and all 3 of those teams made the finals. Do I think that this Cleveland team is going to make the finals? No, I don't. And I think part of the reason is this has been a very, very, very wonky NBA year, where if you look at the NBA and you're like, how many teams have played really, really good basketball? And it's been Cleveland, obviously. Boston, although they've been you could argue they've been more inconsistent than a lot of people expected. And then OKC certainly, and Golden State. Now, the Cavs wiped the floor with the Warriors, so that matchup happened, and it did not go great for Golden State, so give them credit for that. The game that I think everybody should have circled, and I certainly will be watching, I'm excited to watch in a couple nights from now, is Cavs at Boston. Because if you look at the rest of Cleveland's schedule, they're, other than they had the Golden State win. Their next best win, Jesus, I don't know. Was it New York? I'm being facetious. It might be the Knicks, So there's been just so much mediocrity in the league this year. So I don't know. I know I'm going on a rant, and this is supposed to be a quick segment, but I'll move on. Anyway, Julius Randle had a game-winning 3 at the buzzer. 120-117. Minnesota beat Phoenix. Devin Booker, I forget if he actually went for 50 or not. I think he just was short. Suns had a couple great chances down the stretch, and their offense completely caved in the final 3-4 minutes of that game. It was not the Timberwolves' best basketball game, and they still emerged with a win, thanks, again, in part to a great game from Julius Randle and a great shot from Julius Randle. Pacers beat the Heat. Pacers still under 500, though. 6-7. Heat are 5-7. Pistons will have a chance, I believe, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night? I think tomorrow night. Let me double check this. Yes, tomorrow night against the Bulls to go to move to 500. How you doing, Detroit? At 7-8, they beat the Wizards. So the Wizards also going to be on the back-to-back here. And they're traveling. They were at home tonight. Nuggets, again, without Nikola Jokic, they got blown out by the Grizzlies. They fall to 7-5. The Blazers, how about the 6-8 Portland Trailblazers? Did not see that one coming. Shaedon Sharpe playing out of his mind. They beat the Hawks. Good win for them. And I think we may have to start taking the Rockets a lot more seriously, at least than I have been taking them. 143-107 victory in Chicago. Figures Bulls beat us, they can't beat anyone else. The Rockets are 10-4. Put up 143 points tonight. Incredibly impressive stuff from Houston. And then the Mavericks with a really, really, really big victory. They have lost a lot of close games of late. I think they had like 4 straight where they lost in like the last possession or couple of possessions, whatever. They beat the Thunder in OKC tonight. No Luka Doncic. Kyrie, I feel like probably had a massive game because every time I looked up, he was making shots. Actually, not that big. Only 23 points. Quentin Grimes got the start there. Good for him. And then one game going on right now. Clippers looking to finish things up against the Jazz, although that was a 20-point lead, and now I see it is only a 10-point lead. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, that was your out-of-town scoreboard presented by T-Squared Social. Finishing up, I think we got a couple more. Busy. Everyone is mentioning the chemistry between Cat and OG. It's exactly why you don't stick a big in that lineup. OG is an elite cutter, and the lane isn't clogged. Busy. If you can see, I'm gesturing towards the screen. I'm pointing at you, even though you're not in my screen. Preacher. Now I'm pointing at me. Choir. Or maybe I'm preacher and you're choir. I don't know. Whatever. We agree. Like, you gotta, again, we're talking about just get two fewer points per 100 possessions. That's all you got to take away to become a middle of the league defense. 2 points per 100 possessions. Figure out a way to get there without inserting a traditional 5. Please, God. Thank you, Busy. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? Gritty Nets team. Agree completely. Great win. Yep. Every win feels like a great win right now. McCall is starting to look comfortable on offense and defense. OG to the dunk contest. But please, no. I don't want that guy anywhere near any organized basketball activity that he is not, that is like not, doesn't count like in the standings. I want him in bubble wrap. Like, please. That said, I get where you're going with that, and he's a force, man. He's a beast down low. He's been really good. Thank you, Stevens. Kevin Danishevsky, would the Knicks be the first to win a chip without one homegrown starter? 2004 Detroit, right? Unless I'm misremembering that starting. No, that was Sheed, Chauncey, Ben Wallace, Richard Hamilton. Oh, Tayshaun Prince. Bad job by me. Sorry about that. Shit, would they? How has nobody brought this up before? I think you might be. Yeah, I think you might be right. Unless there's an obvious one in recent years that I'm forgetting, but I don't think so. I forgot about Prince. That's a bad job by me. Great point, Kev. Great point. Robert W. Cross. Here we go. The last one. First time, long time. It's your boy John. Is it fair and reasonable to say that the 3 rookies, oh Jesus, should play meaningful? Why would you do this to me? Because you hate me. Should play meaningful minutes tomorrow night in a back-to-back. If so, I'll be happy for one game. You are no Tin Man. That's an inside joke. Took me a second to get it, but it's an inside joke. If Deuce is back, I don't know that Tyler Kolek should play meaningful minutes tomorrow night. Yeah. If Deuce is back, I don't know. If Deuce isn't back, I would like to see all 3 rookies play meaningful minutes. So I will agree with you. How about that? Look at me. If I only had a heart. Thanks, Robert. And we got one more just came in. This is from ETER Nin Eternin Ty 517. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to that. Hey guys, Greg B from Vegas here. That would have been a lot easier for me to just read that. I finally caught the live stream. Awesome. Thank you for catching it. Great meeting everyone at Vegas. Knicks fan meetup this summer. Keep up the good work and let's fucking go Knicks. It was great meeting you too. That was a cool event that CP was kind enough to co-host with us. It was like soccer. It was like an Irish bar where we did it, which was fine. The drinks were good. But yeah, we'll do Vegas again. I don't know if it's gonna. You'd think it should be an every year thing for us. I know it's an every year thing for CP. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you out there again this summer. But thanks for chiming in and glad to have you aboard. Appreciate you, man. All right, that's it. Shout out to Mark, by the way. He was on the 1s and 2s tonight. Did a great job. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of the Knicks Film School postgame show. If you are so inclined, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and obviously help us out with a rating or a review if you're listening to this in podcast form. I will be back tomorrow night after the game with another postgame, and I believe that Andrew Claudio and I are doing a playback watch-along, so you could either watch that on playback, or if you just want to check out the Knicks Film School YouTube channel, you can watch the game along with us that way as well. So hopefully that'll be a relatively stress-free evening, although God knows the Knicks have a way of making things interesting when they probably should not be. But we'll worry about that tomorrow. Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a great start to your week, and talk to you soon. Peace out.